The story of Crysis 2 picks up sometime in the future after the original, and it quickly throws you into the action as your submarine is destroyed by an alien warship and you get rescued by Prophet. And this brings me to my first complaint. Simply put, the story is just not very cohesive. It picks up at a completely random point with absolutely no context about what happened after the ending of Crysis 1, where you fly away from the Lingshan Islands as Nomad, and before the beginning of Crysis 2, where you play as a random grunt named Alcatraz. Nomad and Psycho are absolutely nowhere to be found, and as a matter of fact, the only notable character who returned for the sequel is Prophet. And unfortunately, the game seems to continue with this trend through its entire runtime. There's quite a few moments where you'll hit the end of a level and fade to black, only to end up somewhere completely different with absolutely no idea why or how the hell you ended up there. Thankfully though, the story itself is great, although certainly not groundbreaking as it's still just a generic alien invasion story, but the way it's presented like an action movie makes it incredibly engaging and the voice acting is amazing. It includes tons of memorable new characters and events, and overall it's a massive step up from the original in terms of depth and quality. I will admit though that for me personally, the last couple missions really seemed to drag on, because it felt like they were just stacking bullshit on top of bullshit to create this sense of danger and urgency, but realistically, it just ended up making the game feel way longer than it needed to, and towards the end of the game, I was mindlessly running past enemies because I just wanted it to be over. The game took me roughly 7 hours to finish and there are 18 missions to complete with a variety of secret items to be found in each level. When it comes to gameplay, well let me tell you, this game fucking plays. As I stated earlier, the story is presented in a rather cinematic manner, and the gameplay reflects that very well. For starters, just like in the first game, Crysis 2 features a physics and destructibility system. This game, however, is far more linear in terms of map design compared to the original, so don't come in expecting the same level of destruction, as a lot of structures really just serve as environmental details rather than interactive objects. But what we do get is still pretty amazing, and it can lead to some really cool moments like when you're in an intense firefight and all of a sudden that barricade you were hiding behind gets blown to smithereens, piece by piece, or a nearby vehicle gets turned into ashes. And the physics, although mostly useless, serve as a great way to make the game feel more alive and interactive. Moving on to the other aspects of gameplay, they absolutely nailed the difficulty in this game. There's 4 difficulties to choose from, and I personally played on Veteran, which is basically just hard mode with a fancy name. What I enjoy so much about this game is that it feels challenging strategically, but never unfair. The whole shtick of Crysis that separates it from other shooters is that you are given a nanosuit, which doesn't make you like a superhuman, but it does give you enhanced physical and tactical abilities. The suit has 4 modes that you'll be using for various challenges throughout your playthrough. You have Super Speed, which is just sprint, Super Jump, Cloak, which makes you invisible, and Armor, which makes you immune to all damage. All of these abilities require suit energy, and with the help of your tactical visor, which shows you weapons, ammo, enemies, and tactical options, they give you a ton of different ways to approach each encounter. You can either choose to cloak and meticulously take down one enemy at a time, maybe even use Super Jump to reach new heights and get a vantage point with a sniper rifle, or just go guns blazing with armor mode and hope for the best. And I won't lie, I really disliked the nanosuit abilities in the original Crysis. Not because they were bad by any means, but simply because I felt like the cloak mode in particular completely nullified the difficulty of that game. It was pretty much just an oh shit button that you could press whenever you felt like it, and all of a sudden enemies would develop dementia and let you off scot-free. In Crysis 2, however, not only are enemies far more aggressive with a much smarter AI, but as I stated earlier, the map design in this game is far more linear than the original Crysis, meaning that you don't have nearly as many options to escape a tense situation. And misusing your suit's abilities is a death sentence rather than a get out of jail free card. If you like what you're seeing so far, consider hitting that like and subscribe, and I might even give you a really passionate kiss on the lips as I look into your eyes and tell you how much I love On top of your nanosuit abilities, you get a relatively large selection of skills for a first-person shooter that can be purchased using nano catalyst obtained from Ceph enemies. These skills can silence your footsteps, increase your energy regeneration, etc. You also get a decent variety of weapons such as rocket launchers, rifles, and shotguns, and you can even change their attachments, so you can add silencers, grenade launchers, and different scopes, for example. And the best part is that you can do all of this completely on the fly. You don't need to open an inventory or pause menu to switch your weapon attachments, suit perks, and switch between abilities. It's simply all there for you at the press of a button. This is amazing because it allows you to constantly switch up your strategy at any time during an encounter to suit your needs. I really appreciate that the game gives you such a wide range of options to take on every single encounter as you see fit. My only real complaint about combat is that enemy variety is largely lacking. For the most part, enemies are pretty much just reskinned bullet sponges. There really aren't any enemies that are mechanically challenging, such as the hunters from Halo or marauders from Doom. Literally everything in the game can be put down by simply just spraying them. The only relatively unique enemy in the game is the melee Ceph that can knock you down and stun you for a brief period of time. In terms of generalities, the graphics are amazing, although I do personally feel like they're a step down from the original Crysis, but maybe that's just because this game lacks the foliage density of the first one, so it's giving me a skewed perspective. Also, the sounds in this game are just so goddamn crisp. Every single footstep, reload, explosion, whatever, is like an orgasm in my ears. The sound design is just so freaking amazing. Overall, Crysis 2 Remastered is not only an amazing game, but also a wonderful cinematic experience. It has a great story, as well as incredibly engaging and diverse gameplay, and it fixes every single problem I had with the first game. It's shaped up to be an incredible overall package that makes plenty of modern shooters pale in comparison. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.